If you grew up PC gaming in the late 90s, chances are you're familiar with the life sim genre. Games like The Sims, Creatures and Pets all charge you with caring for virtual beings by monitoring various meters so you know when to send a sim to the loo so they don't do a shameful wee on the carpet. The biggest joy of those games was when your characters began to show signs of their own independence as a result of your nurturing. It's a rewarding prospect, so it's easy to see how this genre has endured and transitioned neatly onto the mobile platform, where the drop-in and play nature of these games is well suited to commute-sized play sessions. But instead of looking after a cute virtual pet, My Child Lebensborn uses the framework of a life sim to ask, what would you do? As you try to raise a German orphan in post-war Norway, where anti-Nazi attitudes were rampant. While looking after your child, you'll feed them, bathe them and even play with them, all to keep their various mood bars topped up. Every action is governed by time, and there's only so many things you can do during the day. If you mismanage your morning schedule, for example, you might be forced to send out your child to school with an empty belly or filthy school clothes. Hunger is by far the most demanding meter, and the best way to get food is by using your factory job to pay for meals. Food is expensive though, so you'll have to ration your wages and your porridge carefully. Every now and then you'll be offered to work overtime at the factory for extra money, but that often means sacrificing time that could be better spent cooking a meal or reading your little one a bedtime story. All these little elements combined creates the impression that every decision counts, and all you can do is try your best to raise a good kid. You're not raising the devil, but your neighbours will make you think you are. Anti-German persecution is inescapable, from the newspapers to the classroom. Running parallel to the upkeep of your child are conversations you have with them as you try to tackle difficult subject matter about why they're being treated differently at school. These talks are predominantly how the game's story unfolds, and it's the real draw of the experience. Your child is repeatedly a victim of bullying at school, and your approach to addressing his well-being is constantly challenged, and unlike their physical need meters, their emotional gauges are invisible. Do you advocate skipping school to avoid the bullies? Or do you teach them to turn the other cheek even if it means putting their safety in danger? Decisions like this are hard-hitting, and your responses to these moments and several other questions can shape their outlook on life. Your child's faith in the community and his own sense of self-worth is constantly in jeopardy, and it's up to you to offer a piece of humanity to them when they need it most. The visual style is reminiscent of illustrations from German folklore, like Struzelpeter and other short stories about social undesirables, further cementing the idea that your child is an outcast. The childish aesthetic contrasts well with the hard-hitting subject matter. While the world is bright and colourful, your lives are anything but. So in practice, My Child Lebensborn is a visual novel disguised as a life sim, but the theme of nurturing is the thread that binds the two together. You always want to do the best for your child by filling their bellies before school and providing them with reliable life advice. But every mini victory you feel as a guardian will shatter after seeing your child return from school with tears in their eyes, dirt all over them, as they tell you about another bullying incident. No one in your community wants to open their heart to you either, so you'll start to feel truly helpless. Everything you do is for your child, and it always feels like it's never enough. And those pressures will really start to mount when you notice there's not enough time in the day or enough cash in your wallet. At least, that's how the game wants you to feel. In reality, I always had enough disposable income to put food on the table, and the penalty for those meters hitting rock bottom is seemingly nothing. You have to be impossibly negligent before your child threatens to run away, and knowing that makes caring for your child feel a lot less imperative than it should be. Once you get into the daily groove of feeding, bathing, and taking your child to school, it can eventually get a bit tedious, especially during later chapters of the game when the pacing slows down. But the next story beat is always on the horizon, and the quality of the narrative will see you through until the credits. While the life sim mechanics aren't especially deep, the game smartly downplays those elements to keep the focus on a compelling and heartbreaking story based on the experiences of real-life Lebensborn. Its core strength is how it manages to create empathy for a character who faces so much hatred in their day-to-day life. All you can do is prove that there is goodness in the world, and pray that smidgen of hope gets your child through to the next day.